Hello and welcome to Chabot News for Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. My name is Frank, and in today's news, we will be covering the Bay Area yellow tier and the red flag fire warning all across Northern California. In our top 5, Joe will tell us the top 5 most shocking moments of 2021. In entertainment news, Eva will cover Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Lastly, in sports news, Mike will cover the Bay Area football rankings. All that and more coming up on Chabot News. San Francisco and Marin counties will move into the yellow tier Tuesday. That means capacity limits at most businesses will go up. Bars would be able to open indoors at 25%. Outdoor venues could increase capacity to 67%. And amusement parks could allow 35% capacity. Health officials say they are assessing the situation and will decide Tuesday to advance in a less restrictive tier. A county must maintain its COVID numbers for 2 weeks. It's only the first week of May, but we are already seeing a red flag warning in parts of the Bay Area, where there is elevated fire danger. Now, firefighters across the Bay Area are bracing for what could be a busy fire season. When Christian Dowell moved to Orinda, he made plans with the potential for wildfires in mind. Dowell's home is near a portion of the North Orinda shaded fuel break. On Sunday, firefighters were getting reoriented with fire trials and checking trial conditions. The fire department is rolling out a pilot program of new fire-adapted community ambassador volunteers to help homeowners spot areas on their property that could be vulnerable. More than 100 million people in the U.S. are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. That's more than 31% of the U.S. population. However, experts believe 70 to 85% is needed to reach herd immunity. While it may feel like the U.S. is slowly making the way out of the pandemic, officials say there's still an ongoing race to vaccinate as many Americans as possible. Polo Sandoval report.
The U.S. crossed an important milestone this week. Nearly 1/3 of the population, more than 100 million people, are now fully vaccinated. Newly loosened restrictions on indoor and outdoor activities brought out those excited to get their pre-COVID life back. Fans gathered at the 147th running of the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs. Mayor Greg Fisher says Louisville prepared to host up to 50,000 people at one of the first large events since the COVID crisis started. The Derby normally draws up to 150,000 people.
It's not kind of the pandemonium and craziness that it always is, but it's nice to feel things coming back with energy and people smiling.
The CDC continues advising those attending crowded outdoor events to wear masks even when fully vaccinated, and released a list of both indoor and outdoor activities vaccinated people can participate in. COVID cases are down almost 28% over the last 2 weeks, according to Johns Hopkins University, and deaths are at their lowest count in months. But one of the best ways to keep the death rate down is to increase vaccination efforts.
I think we should do just like people did the vaccine selfie. I think we need to have selfies of people now going to bars and restaurants with other vaccinated people to show what a return to 2019 pre-pandemic life could really look like.
However, vaccine hesitancy remains a big problem. Daily vaccinations administered dropped to only 2.6 million last week.
What I really worry about is that those people who are already on the fence don't get vaccinated. We don't reach herd immunity come the fall. And then with the winter, because coronaviruses are winter respiratory viruses, we have a big resurgence. Maybe we have variants coming in from other countries.
The CDC now pushing teens to get their vaccine as the Pfizer shot is authorized for teens 16 and up. Vaccine makers Moderna and Johnson & Johnson are working to gain emergency authorizations for the use of vaccines in teens 12 and up by this summer.
This pandemic isn't over until it's over. What we're trying to do is to get as much of the population as vaccinated as possible.
And while things are looking up in these states, India is in crisis. The number of daily cases surpassed 400,000, the highest for any nation during the pandemic.
Thanks, Polo. The Biden administration says they are in non-stop contact with the Indian government and shipments of aid are en route, and travel from India will soon be restricted as new COVID variants being observed and in the country could potentially spread. President Joe Biden says he's willing to work with Republicans on his infrastructure plan. He invited Senator Shelley Moore Capito for a return visit to the White House to discuss the West Virginia Republicans' counter proposal. The president is still hoping for a bipartisan approach, but divisions remains. John Lorick reports.
President Joe Biden is hoping to build a bridge with Republicans for his sweeping infrastructure plan.
He knows that negotiation requires compromise at some point, and that he wants to move this package forward in a bipartisan way, if that's possible.
A major point of contention is the cost.
If you look at all of the president's recent proposals, they total more than $4.1 trillion. That's the amount that we spent to win World War II.
This is a staggering amount of spending, like someone with a new credit card. And these are for things that we don't necessarily need, we certainly can't afford, but they're going to delight the liberal left of the party.
The GOP, wanting to rein in the price tag, has a $600 billion counterproposal, which includes $160 billion for COVID-related causes and extends federal unemployment benefits at their current levels. Although the White House says it wants to work with Republicans on the infrastructure plan, President Biden has hinted that he will consider moving forward without GOP support, like the administration did with its COVID-19 relief bill, which passed, along party lines, through budget reconciliation.
What we have to see is whether or not Republicans in Washington join the rest of America in broadly supporting these common sense ideas to grow our economy and to make our families better.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Thanks, John. Democratic Senator John Manchin, a critical swing vote in the evenly divided Senate, says the most certainly has condemned about the Biden White House's push for a more expensive government. Now we go to Joanne with this week's top 5 most shocking moments of 2021.
Thanks, Frank. Top 5 most shocking moments of 2021 thus far. Kicking it off at number 5, the terrorists who stormed the Capitol. Yes, we began this year with good old white supremacists storming the Capitol, and you'll never believe it. Nothing happened to them. No pepper spray, no guns, no weapons, just freedom of speech. Meanwhile, black people are marching peacefully to say, stop killing us, Black Lives Matter, and we get maced, beat up, and all-out violence ensues as black people continue to fight for equal justice. Number 4, Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccinations are taking people out. And no, not out on a date, out, like lights out, like I wonder if heaven got a ghetto, I'm on my way to sea kind of out. But is this really shocking? This is the same company who had to settle lawsuits for their talcum powder causing ovarian cancer. I mean, choose the best vaccination for you is all I can say. Number 3, Vice President Kamala Harris says, America is not a racist country. But we also have to speak truth about racism in our country and its existence today. So, a country built literally by enslaved Africans and a constitution that was written while said country owned people as property and deemed those people to be 3/5 of a person is not a racist country. Got it. Number 2, the shocking Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex, aka Meghan Markle interview. Harry and Meghan came through and shared all the tea and crumpets. They did not leave a crumb. Get it? Anyhow, we were all shocked to find out the British Parliament was so prejudiced and racist towards Meghan. I mean, a country who has colonized so many parts of the world and whose museum is filled with stolen artifacts were prejudiced towards the first black woman to come into their family. Number 1, the police officer who murdered George Floyd gets prison time. Shocking is an understatement. Because if you've been paying attention, you will see police can murder people and get away with it because, well, they are protected by the police. Yes. So having the first conviction of an officer since, honestly, I can't remember when the last time is a good start to justice. Also, we would like to say rest in peace to all the lives that were lost by the people who are to protect and serve us. May your names not go in vain. Sandra Bland, Philando Castile, Eric Garner, Mike Brown, Breonna Taylor, Dwayne Wright, and recently, Adam Toledo. That's it for this week's Top 5. Back to you, Frank.
Thanks, Jovern. Attorney General Rob Bonta visited San Francisco Sunday to kick off Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. State and city leaders also met at the Jean Friend Red Center to celebrate the Filipino and Asian American communities. In addition to celebrating and lifting up these communities, city and state leaders again condemned the recent violence and hate crimes plaguing the Asian American Pacific Islander community. Throughout the month, San Francisco will host many events, virtual and in person, for Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. Hayward City Manager Kelly McAdoo announced today the selection of Jenna Senji as the city's new Human Resource Director. Prior to that, she worked in California as Regional Director of Labor Relations for the Associated General Contractors of California, as Directors of Human Resources at Service Employees International Union, SEIU, Local Chapters 2015, and as Director of Human Resources at the SEIU National Industry Pension Fund, and as well in the Washington, D.C. as Director of Human Resources for the Economic Policy Institute, an 18-year human resources professional. Senji also holds joint educational degrees, a Bachelor in Psychology and Juris Doctorate for the Universidade Estácio dessa in Brazil, and fluent in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Senji will assume her new post with the city of Hayward on May 24th. Now we go to Eva with the latest in this week's entertainment news.
Thanks, Frank. Marvel Studios has just released its plan for Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with more detail than ever before. The upcoming film, previously titled Black Panther 2, has been renamed to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This wasn't the only Marvel movie to be renamed. However, Captain Marvel 2 has officially been renamed to The Marvels to stay true to the team-up of hero Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau, aka Photon. A large slate of movies will be confirmed with release dates for 2021, 2022, and 2023. For the remainder of 2021, you can expect to see Black Widow hit the theaters on July 8th, followed by Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings on September 3rd. Marvel's Internals will be hit a big screen on November 5th, and finally, Marvel Studios plans to wrap up the year with Spider-Man: No Way Home on December 17th. One thing's for sure, there will be no shortages of Marvel content for a very long time. Several artists have made the decision to boycott the Grammys. Well-known artist The Weeknd is one of the major artists to do this. Despite having a massively successful album titled After Hours, The Weeknd did not receive a single nomination for any categories in the Grammys. In an interview with Variety, The Weeknd said that the trust has been broken for so long between the Grammy organization and the artist, especially after his hit single Blinding Lights received no support from the Grammys. The Weeknd vows to never submit any of his music to the Grammys ever again. In doing so, he hopes to see a change from the Grammy organization. That's all for this week's entertainment news. Now back to you, Frank.
Thanks, Eva. The Hayward Public Library will be reopened starting on Monday, May 3rd, 2021. The Downtown Library is launching Hayward Public Library Express, a walk-in service. The library will be open to the public with limited occupancy and offer selected services. Walk-in services will be offered in 2-hour sections. Available Hayward Public Library Express services include self-service checkout of materials and hold pickups, new library cards and payments of charges, computer use for a maximum of 1 hour per day, browsing the collection reference assistance, self-service copying, scanning, and printing, and Wi-Fi access. Anyone entering the building will be required to follow all safety protocols, including social distancing and mask requirements. A boba shortage is expected in coming weeks. Shipments containers are piling up at West Coast ports, delaying shipments of much of the country's supplies of chewy tapioca balls. The San Francisco Chronicle reports that boba wholesalers have no idea when they will get them. HAYWARD-based boba suppliers Leadway International, one of the largest in Northern California, says this will be the first time they have ever run out of the tea bubbles. Now we go to Mike with the latest in this week's sports news.
Thanks, Frank. The NFL draft just recently ended with a large fanfare from viewers, family, friends, and of course fans. Being hyped for the new year of football with the new added additions to the team would make anyone giddy for Super Bowl predictions. And that is what happened with the top 5 draft pick teams with the best overall pick for the Super Bowl predictions. Starting at number 5, Green Bay Packers, 4, Los Angeles Rams, 3, Buffalo Bills, 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and lastly, 1, Kansas City Chiefs. Your only Bay Area football team, Golden State 49ers, ranked 6 out of 32, with them being able to grab Trey Lance for quarterback. But will it be enough? And lastly, Las Vegas Raiders ranking 24 out of 32, with a rejiggered offensive line that may not keep Derek Carr upright, which is the wrong trending direction for the Sin City team. The Athletics versus Blue Jays yesterday was an amazing day and was, well, an amazing game for the Oakland Athletics, winning over the Blue Jays with a 4-1 win in the A's favor, hot off the heels of an amazing Cole Irvin and Mitch Moreland team-up, with both teammates showing phenomenal athleticism within their respective baseball positions. Cole Irvin came in when starter Mike Fiers went down, and Mitch Moreland with his 2-run homer and off the heels of Jed Lowry's 2-run double, and the second to back Irvin, with even Blue Jays manager Charlie Montoya commenting, quote, "That guy's got good numbers. He's been doing that against a lot of teams. It's all about making adjustments, and we didn't do that today." End quote. With the words like that about Cole Irvin, we can expect great things from the team in the coming weeks. That's all for this week's sports news. Now back to you, Frank.
Thanks, Mike. East-based nonprofit Making the World a Brighter Place has collected 15 million crayons that would otherwise end up in the landfill and recycles them into new crayons for children's hospitals across the U.S. The Crayon initiative aims to bring happiness to children and the environment by recycling used crayons into new ones to date. The Crayon initiative has donated 560,000 packs of crayons to children's hospitals. That's all for Chabot News this week. Black Lives Matter and Asian Lives Matter. Thanks to all the students and staff in the Mass Communications Department here at Chabot College for making this production possible. You can watch us anytime online at youtube.com/Chabot TV. Stay tuned to KCTH Channel 27 for more Chabot TV.
and the moon